Okay, TOA 530 sample run. For invos, we've got all the boss invos except for Keep Back and Medic. Overly Draining is on, and these are the other invos. For gear, we've got Max Melee, except I'm not using Torva plate legs. You need a max hit of 58 with a 4-tick weapon on melee, and you can do that without the Torva plate legs. You could also drop the primordial boots instead of the Torva plate legs, but these give you some stab bonus, so they're better. If you have a fire cape, then you need both the primordials and the Torva plate legs. Max Mage, you need a Magus ring and the rest of Max Mage. And for range, you don't need much for range. I'm using a T-bow with 2 Masori pieces and a Venator bow. If you have a Bofa with 2 crystal armor pieces, that's plenty good. You could bring 3 crystal armor pieces. Whether to bring the helm or not is up to you. If you'd rather replace that with an extra restore, depending on how you're coming out of the raids, obviously with prayer. If you do have a fire cape and you're having to bring an extra Torva piece, then I would not bring a 3rd crystal armor piece. I don't have crystal right now or Bofa, so I'm using a T-bow and these 2 and a Venator bow. Bring a Circle, bring amethyst arrows. Circle cannot shoot dragon arrows. So these bone daggers, I just have a bunch of them. They're only 5k each. I just drop them in the raid and keep going. I bring super combat, a prayer regen potion, sand few, and then for pre-pot, I do 1 dose of prayer regen, a ranging overheal, and then before you hit your saturated heart, get positioned to do it. Withdraw your restores and go right into the raid. You want to get as much time as possible while on your saturated heart during Zebok. Your DPS goes down significantly once your heart runs out. Make sure to get this in 2 downs. Before the first croc. Makes it to the tree. If not, definitely reset the raid. If you're not able to consistently get it in 2 downs, you should go in there and practice. It's not that difficult compared to the rest of the raid. I do use these inventory tags. Don't necessarily recommend those. That's just how I got used to doing it. Okay, we're going to reset this with the circle. I want to hit a minimum of 7. Otherwise, I reset the raid. Just makes it that much harder to make time if you don't get a higher circle hit. So this is a good example of how to reset. Try not to waste time because you're going to be resetting. If you're using my strategy, you reset about 25-30% of your raids. So take your pre-pots out and take them while you're running, except for the saturated heart. If you don't have Pharaoh's Scepter, don't reset the raid. Okay. Invigorate, deposit, withdraw, go. You should learn how to weave in here as well, because it just helps with your consistency. If you're going into Zebok with less health for no reason, you know, that might make the difference between surviving a couple mistakes and not. So it's worth learning how to weave for sure. Okay, good enough. That was a 13. Max hit is like 21 or 22 or something, so you're gonna reset around 25, 28% of your raids or something like that. A lazy flick, offensive prayers, camp defensive. There is guys on YouTube that bring way less stuff, way less prayer potions and a lot more stuff. And that's kind of up to you. I can make time with this method the grand majority of the time, so it seems like I'm more consistent this way. If you're bringing less prayer potions and then you make a couple mistakes, then you're conserving prayer for the rest of the raid. Maybe you're not using your best offensive prayer, and that ends up being worse, even though you have a little bit more gear. The gear only provides a very marginal value. Trying to be careful. These guys can get kind of annoying when they pop up at the same time. Okay. We ended up taking a hit there from poison, but that's alright. That was not very good because we missed a bunch of attacks. A bunch of ticks on attacks, but it happens. Keep your prayer up. I like to move my menu in a little bit. Make sure you know how to pull these, push these in all angles pretty well. And you have the timing down on how long the shadow projectile takes to reach the boulder, because sometimes, I mean, it's best if you don't have to switch over to a range piece. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of skipping here. Make sure not to miss an attack for the sake of getting a thrall up. Thralls are very low DPS compared to your Shadow. Just take your time. If things are kind of hectic, just don't worry about getting a Thrall up until you have an opportunity. Okay, our heart is out, so our DPS is lower now, but okay, we should be good. 5 minutes. That's pretty slow. I usually shoot for 4.5. But should be fine. Shoot for 2.5 on this one. Try to make good use of those bombers when you get a chance. Only problem with this Venator, it's got great DPS because it bounces off of stuff, but the range is kind of limited. Not as bad as the blowpipe. I hate using blowpipe in this room, even though it's the highest DPS, technically. I think both is my favorite weapon for this. All right. Should be able to get these pretty much all with these exploders. How do we do 228? That's pretty average time there. If you're having issues making any of these times, I would recommend practicing that specific thing. Like without completing the raid, just going in and practicing that. Not a good bone dagger spec at all. Average is 17 or something. We hit a 8. Make sure to drop your bone dagger after you use it. That's mostly so that you have enough room to get your Venator bow out. And you don't want to drop anything here that you have to run back for, because that wastes a bunch of time for no reason. I wait until they're one apart. I know some people are good at can get it sometimes with two apart, but I don't do that. Messed up my swap there. That's all right. Try not to use more than one dose of restore in this room. You can do it without using any doses, but I usually end up using one. Okay, drop your super combat while you run. Grab this. We want Akka to be level 4. So we're going to go this way. If Akka's level 2, then I go ahead and do Akka because he's not going to make it to level 4 anyways. The reason we want level 4 Akka is so that we have more time to attack the shadows during his special. And makes a wave less likely to happen before you get the shadow finished off. Get your mage gear on. Let's draw assault. If you don't have room, deposit your other dose. Get your circle on, circle. Okay, we hit 15. Not great, not bad. I think your max hit while salted with the circle is something like 28, 27, 28 maybe. I don't know. So maybe 15 is average. Make sure to get this trap right. The whole point of using mage on this is kind of to do this trap, double ranger trap. Then I lazy flick my offensive prayers here. You do use a lot of prayer in this room. Probably more than any other room, I would say, other than other than wardens. Okay, he's dead. Let this guy start moving and then attack, then run this way. Attack again. Stay within 3 tiles of this edge. Run all the way into this corner. Turn your, as soon as he's dead, turn protect from range back on. Then run to this side. You can mess around with these scarabs if you want. I just don't worry about them. The reason we ran into that corner is to trap that guy right there. Make sure to trap right here. There's no need to run over here and trap in there. You can just do what I did right there. Try not to miss any ticks if possible. Our prayer regen is out. And it really doesn't matter where the rest of the, as long as the other dungs are in this general area, doesn't really matter. All right, we're gonna move over here, attack this guy until we either get 3 successful attacks landed or an attack over 80. I'm gonna run away because he's about to mage me. Turn your protect from mage on. Definitely want to have plenty of health going into that, because I would say about 1 out of every 10 raids have to tank a protect for magic hit, and it will kill you if you don't turn on protect for magic. So make sure to turn that on as soon as his last orb is turning. All right, the meleeer is dead. Now switch back to this. Keep your prayer up. I'd say about 1 out of 10 raids I have to tank a melee hit, so watch out for that. Make sure you move. Try to move to these last 3 rows before you tank that hit. Otherwise, those rangers can hit you for like a 40 and then you'll just get comboed out, probably. And stay for the rest of the fight, basically. Stay in these last 3 rows. Okay, I want to do something here where I just keep attacking and he sends another attack. My guy sent another shadow attack there. You will typically take some damage, about 8 or 10, so don't do that when you're down to like, down under like 20. I might do it. I'm probably not going to do it anymore. Alright, circle this guy if you have enough special attack. Run all the way to this side so I don't get too hardcore trapped in here. Don't go into the very corner. I think sometimes you can get like trapped in there somehow, it seems like. Alright, he's dead. Perfect timing. We run out of prayer right there. Alright. So equip your defender and offensive and a one-handed weapon, and make enough room so you can pick up your mirror. It's best to not drop something here if you can help it, because then you have to come back for it later. I think the guys that do this in 35 minutes, for that you pretty much have to bring Chinchampas and attack a bunch of scarabs during Kefri. I don't think I've ever gotten a 35-minute time on it. I think you also have to bring, I think you have to do Zebok salted, and I think you need to bring like max range gear and way less restores. Alright, let's draw your salt. Pop your salt. I actually go ahead and withdraw my adrenaline. Make sure not to accidentally take your adrenaline. If you need to, move it to somewhere that is not. That is less likely to accidentally get hit. I like to do the white one first. It seems like it's the most likely to do a wave while you're without giving you a chance to attack during this part. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I like to stand about right here. Get one attack in and then start running. Get another attack in. You don't have to do that. That saves a few ticks. Keep your prayer up during this fight. Okay, looks like we're going to I'm going to go caddy corner here. Because I think we're going to make it to another spec before the wave hits. Otherwise, I would go to the yellow one. Maybe not. Yeah, we are making it. Sweet. Three, 4, 5, 6. Okay, get that prayer back up. I don't know. I guess I'm going to do this one. Seems kind of dangerous. I don't think we're going to make it before the wave hits, but I do usually tank the wave instead of risking the guy changing attack styles. We did make it to the wave. Sweet. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I guess I'll get a couple hits in here. DPS is so much lower with these other weapons that I mostly just make sure I'm well positioned to move into the next part of the fight, and sometimes just use Deadeye or for flick offensive. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is gonna proc our next one. Awesome. Tank 0 waves on that one, so sometimes you have to tank a couple waves. Just try to make it so that the waves you tank are not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want the waves to not be... Okay. Adrenaline. Get ready to switch. Okay, switch. Piety, go. This is one of the best places to use adrenaline and increases your consistency of the raids dramatically, in my opinion. Unless you're just really good at dodging these orbs. But it feels very RNG how you can just suddenly get a whole bunch spawning in a bad pattern. We got lucky on that one. And tank a bunch of hits in a row. If you've got an adrenaline already popped, you basically have no use for the adrenaline anyway, so we're running a little low here, so I'm just gonna a little slow. That was a 6.5 minute, yeah. I try to get it under 6 minutes. I think all of our stuff was a little slow on this one. All right, try not to mess around too much. Get everything going here. We need our prayer regen potion. I like this around right there for this part of the fight. Tank 4 of these orbs. We're doing pretty good on prayer. Still got a lot of adrenaline left. I'm just going to use that. After that, I like to run here and see if we can finish this guy before 2 downs, yes. If you run in closer, sometimes the projectile will, travel speed will be, your shadow projectile will arrive sooner, which reduces the odds of one of those orbs hitting you. But you got to be ready to run away if you're not going to get it before the next set of pyramids. Alright. Each hit from here is going to do about 10% damage up there, so just be ready to switch. You cannot miss any attacks. Alright, switch. Four, 5, 6. I switch all my mage gear back on, and then my 3 pieces of range gear. This is basically the only part of the fight where your range gear comes into play, and it's still very fast with this weapon or with a T-bow. Or with a Bofa. I'd say Bofa is about 20 seconds slower here. Okay, switch. No, don't switch. Now switch. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, switch your range gear back on and then all your mage gear. I go ahead and pop an adrenaline here around this point just so that I can emergency Karis if I'm getting too low on health. And basically you have no other use for your adrenaline, so might as well use it right there. Keep your prayer high, especially as you're getting low on health. Okay, switch. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, max or all your mage gear back on. Take this, take your Karis, do your Karis, put your circle back on. I guess I didn't. Also your special attack. Okay, terrible circle, hit a 3. That's alright. You can go ahead and take your last dose of prayer regen. This fight takes less than 8 minutes anyways. You can also take your last salt. Keep your prayer high here. If you're down to less than about 2 or 3 prayer pots there, you might want to do a little bit of this Mystic Vigor instead of Augury. Save some prayer. Or even if you're really low on prayer, or if you're not good at P4 and you're going to need a Karis, then maybe don't even use any offensive prayer here. In this case, it would be kind of tight to make time without using offensive prayer, in my opinion. It might be tight anyways, it looks like. This is going to be like a 39. I don't know, could be close to 40. Could be over 40 if we don't get lucky on our hits here. Okay. Don't take crazy chances to try to make time. You don't want to wipe the raid trying to make time. It's going to reduce your odds of getting a purple by like 1% instead of maybe 16% instead of 17%. Not that big of a deal compared to losing the entire raid. I'd say if you're not making time about 70% of the time, 70 or 80, you should just turn the time info off. Keep your prayer up here. I haven't prayed in a while. We were just splashing hardcore. Okay, get your prayer back up. For this last phase, I like to have my menu up kind of high. Partially because that gets it out of the way for seeing the shadows, and I don't know why else, but all right, get your prayer all the way up. Go ahead and take your adrenaline. Take a prayer dose. And that was 30 seconds to spare. Yeah, that was a close one. We got bad specs, I think, in every room. So that's a big factor. Your specs to reduce the defense makes a big difference. One thing you can do in here is drop your Fang and then you'll get an extra little cursed phalanx, and you get 60k for that. I don't know if that's worth it. I'll show you the times here. I'd say it's typically not worth it once you've been farming this for a while, but if you, yeah, I don't know. If you think it's worth it, go ahead and do it. Our bosses, room times, 5 minutes. This is slow. This is average. This is slow. This is slow. This is average. And I would say our paths, these are all average. Het is a little bit slow. But at McCann, usually takes me closer to 240, I would say. So those kind of balance out. Yeah, I'd say usually I shave 30 seconds off of this one, 30 seconds off of this one, and maybe 15 seconds off of Kefri, or 30, something like that. Gets me around 38 and a half usually. So I may be a little off there. Warden's maybe usually takes another 15 seconds or something. But anyways, if your times are around this, you know, that's kind of what you're shooting for. If one of your times is way higher, if Akka, it's common for Akka to, I mean, for me, forever, it took 8 minutes to get through Akka. I would miss a lot of attacks. I would try to skip the waves and stuff like that. It would take up to 8 minutes. I would mess up the butterfly. If you've got one of these rooms that's taking a lot more time, I recommend going in and learning just that mechanic really well to get under time. At the same time, nothing wrong with just doing 515 level raids. It's not that much lower percentage. We're at 17.07 there. You're probably going to be at like 16.25 or something with a 515. No, it would be a 520 with no time info. But you're also getting the raids done faster with the time info, so you're getting more raids per hour. So I don't know. It is worth just learning those wherever your times are not as good. Getting that part of the raid down, and then you can just farm it at the high invos. Keep back is I've learned it somewhat, but I'm not consistent on it. If you can learn that really good, it is worth learning. And then then you can run 540s. Anyways, that's how I do 530s.